So let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly B. And I don't really have a name for my channel. I've been saying basically, like basically, but with my name in there, I don't know. Tell me if that's cute. But I am back with another video. And today I want to talk about Joseline and Carlos King, baby. Carlos King, he is doing the interviews with the girls. Let me plug up my phone real quick because we don't need my phone dying. But Carlos he is very, very busy, honey. He is interviewing the girls of reality TV. I don't really care for him too much and his style of interviewing. However, I do enjoy the guests that he has on there because they're all on the shows that I watch, with the exception of what's that show he got? Love and Marriage, Huntsville. I don't watch that. But all the other ones, it's a lot of the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, of course, the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, if he wants to get some views, he needs to get Mona Scott on there. And he needs to get some of the white girls. So some of the girls from New Jersey, some of the girls from Beverly Hills. That's just my suggestion. But let's get into it. So, as usual, your girl took notes. And let's talk about Joseline and Carlos King, their interview. Now, if you don't know who Joseline is, you clearly don't watch the black reality TV shows. Joseline, she is known for being on Love and Hip Hop. Don't Send Me Back to the Strip Club, Stevie. That's who she is. Former dancer. She made an appearance on P-Valley. She was on the latest season of College Hill. And then, of course, she has her show, which is, I want to say 4 seasons now, on Zeus. I know everybody talk about, I don't watch Zeus, it's trash, it's garbage, it's low vibrational. Baby, I watch Zeus because it is nothing like my real life. So I do watch Zeus. So if somebody else, some of y'all is watching Zeus, because ain't no way Joseline got 4 seasons and people are watching it and streaming it and they know what's going on, but nobody watching Zeus. Okay. If you say so, if you say you're not watching it, I guess I'm watching it though. So let's get into this interview. Like I said, I did take notes because trying to remember all of this stuff is a lot. Kudos to the girls who can watch the interviews and the shows and know what's going on and they don't have to take notes. I don't. I have to take notes. So again, let's talk about it. So Joseline is on there with Carlos. They're kind of doing their introductions of who she is, who he is, how they know each other, how she even met Stevie. And if you haven't heard this story 1,000 times, because she has told this story 1,000 times, she was managing a girl who wanted to be a singer. She needed a producer. She was introduced to Stevie by somebody who knew her in the strip club, and her and Stevie, they was locked in. And Stevie introduced her, brought her down to Love and Hip Hop. Apparently, they were going to have DJ Drama on there, but him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever, they backed out at the last minute. They needed somebody who was a star, and that's how they got Joseline. She came and did the interview, and everybody loved her. And I could see why, because Joseline, she is entertaining. As crazy she is very entertaining. So Joseline says she's writing a book. Of course, Carlos asked her about the threesome that she had with Stevie and Mimi. She said, that's going to be in my book, child. You know, y'all got to buy something. So she didn't really go into that. But she said, he asked her, well, how was it? And she was like, well, the head could have been better. I had better. I thought that was pretty funny. They talk a little bit about Joseline's parents. Apparently, Joseline had filmed a scene season 1 with her mom and her stepdad. And in that scene, I guess Joseline was kind of laying into her mama about, I ran away and you let me run away and you wasn't really a good mom. You wasn't there for me and the rest of the kids. Apparently there's like six of them. Yeah, six kids, five baby daddies. That's what Jocelyn said. And she got kind of teary-eyed. She got really emotional talking about her upcoming in Puerto Rico with her family, with her mom. And see, that is something I really, when her book comes out, I'm getting it. I'm gonna read it because that is something I definitely want to know more about. Because the way that Jocelyn talks to people on her show and the way that she, acted out at that Mayweather fight, losing it like that, clearly she came up some sort of trauma happened to her that gave her that thick skin. I'm sure her being in a strip club, dancing in front of men, I'm sure that played a part of it. But I'm thinking it's definitely something that happened to her when she was a child, her growing up, that caused her to act the way that she does. Because sometimes Jocelyn can be real nasty. The way that she talks to some of the girls on her show and call them nothing and all of that, I don't want to say it because I don't want to get in trouble for cussing. But the way that she talks to the girls on her show, all I'm gonna say is it couldn't have been me, child. Could not have been me. So I'm really interested. Hopefully she has help writing that book because we know Jocelyn. I don't know if she could write it herself. Hopefully she has somebody help her write that. But I definitely am interested to know how she grew up in Puerto Rico. How did she end up, you know, running away and all that stuff. So I am interested in that. Give me 1 second. Um, so like I said, she was getting emotional, talking about her mom, talking about her upbringing, and then she said with herself, um, she said, I'm a perfect mother, but I'm not a perfect person." I thought that was interesting because I feel like nobody's perfect, not even her saying that she's a perfect mother. Maybe she's a better mother than she is a person, but nobody's perfect. Because if you was a perfect mother, you wouldn't have been beating up the police at that Mayweather fight. But anywho, um, when she got emotional and she started crying and all of that, I realized like, damn, Jocelyn is vain because she was like, I need makeup when she started crying and all that. I was like, wow, this woman is pretty vain. And a couple times she referenced her body. We'll get into that, but I was kind of like, Jocelyn's pretty vain. Um, Carlos asked her, you know, do you think Love and Hip Hop Atlanta changed your life? She said, yes, of course it did. She said changed her life. It was the first paycheck she ever had, like an actual paycheck. Her coming from the strip club, that was all cash, you know. So her actually getting a paycheck, she said that really like changed her whole everything, her whole thought process. So I thought that was pretty interesting. She said she was an international superstar even when she wasn't. She was saying she manifested her life. And that's what I'm trying to do, honey. I'm trying to manifest. Manifest, manifest, manifest. You know, that's why I'm filming this video right here. Because I see big things for my life. But this is not about me. He asked her about what her favorite scene was, and she said the Carly Red. For him, it was the Carly Red scene where Carly came into the studio and she was like, I need to talk to Stevie. And Jocelyn told her, like, sit down, go look for that clip. She was like, sit down and shut up. Like, hello. Like, that was a pretty funny scene. For me, my favorite Jocelyn scene, whoo, there were so many. Hey Maid is one. And then the Die Be Born Again is another one. I thought that was hilarious. But that was a little bit, I think that was like season 2 or 3. And then I also like, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think those are like my 2 favorite. I can't think of any other ones. One of my favorite Jocelyn moments though is when she was on the Wendy Williams show, and it was like during COVID, and they were like Was it during COVID? I think so. They were streaming or whatever. And she was like, where are my flowers? Give me my flowers. And Wendy was throwing flowers at the screen. She's like, here's your flowers. That's one of my favorite Joseline moments. And her going on the Breakfast Club, her first time going to Breakfast, I thought that was pretty funny too. She said her favorite moment was the what did she say? I wrote it down. Her favorite moment was the Hey May scene. That was her favorite scene. Carlos asked, he was trying to be messy, talking about, you could have any man, like who, it changed your life and you could have any man. And she was like, well, I only been with 2 men. And he was like, well, I thought Rick Ross was one. And she was like, no. She's like, Rick Ross, he is a very sweet person. He's a friend. I have been to his house for his parties that he invited me to. But no, we never dated. And I think that's a rumor that Stevie J started. I think it seemed like Rick Ross, he really liked the celebrity girls, because the same thing happened with Krishan. Krishan took a picture with Rick Ross. And I remember Blueface lost it. He went off because she took a picture with him. So I don't know what's up with Rick Ross and messing with the celebrity girls. He's always getting in there, and then it's always coming out like, no, we weren't dating. They were talking about how the Atlanta was such a huge hit. It definitely was. I think Atlanta is doing much better this season. More people are tuning in. The last couple seasons of Atlanta haven't been that great, but this season's been pretty good. And they talk about how it was a huge hit and how it kind of shot her into, being famous. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember when she first came out and she was getting popular, how on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne was calling her Rihanna Man. Y'all remember that? He was calling her Rihanna Man. And a lot of people were saying that she was a man because of how she looked. And I honestly think it's because she was so toned and so fit. Like, her body back then was one of like a freaking athlete. I mean, she still looks fantastic. She's gotten a little softer. And I'm thinking that's because, she's not dancing and all of that type of stuff. Like dancing like that in a strip club night after night. But back then her body was very, 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 very toned. And I'm assuming, I can't talk about working out, but what I'm saying is when you work out like that, it reflects in your face. I mean, just like me, I don't work out. I got a double chin. I'm kind of chunky right now. But I'm sure if I was working out like that all the time and putting, burning calories and working out hard like that, it's going to tone your whole body, including your face. So she did have more of a little bit of a harder look, but to me it wasn't a harder look. It was more like, damn, that girl is fit. That girl's an athlete. Like, she is strong. And I remember people saying that she looked like a man. So she was saying that definitely bothered her. And that's why she released her nude photos. Now, I never seen her nude photos, but I remember, because I don't really do Twitter like that, but I remember people were talking about, oh, Joseline's nudes are out. She said she leaked, she had posted, I think, was it on Twitter? I'm pretty sure it was on Twitter. But she had said that she had put that out there because, everybody was calling her a man. She wanted to show, baby, I'm not no man. So she posted her naked photos to kind of shut that rumor down. And I feel like after that rumor shut down, it was like pretty much a wrap. People understood, okay, clearly she's not a man. She even said Stevie was getting irritated because they were together. People saying that she was looking like a man kind of was like, well, damn, Stevie sleeping with a man. So that was irritating him too. So then Joseline stated, Carlos asked her about, when you were on the show, I feel like you had, your nemesis was Mimi. And she was like, no, not really. I really didn't have no issue with Mimi. My issue was with Carly, because Carly was being messy. She was like, Carly was just messy. Every time somebody said something about me, Carly was telling me. Every time it was drama going with somebody else, Carly was telling me. And I don't know much about Joseline personally. I don't know her at all. But from what I've seen on the shows, from Cabaret to this, and even to College Hills, she don't like people gossiping. She's more of a straight direct. Say it to that person. Don't say it to, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And say it to Peter. So I think that's kind of like her thing. She didn't like the whole messiness, and Carly was definitely messy. Definitely messy. She talked about Carly a lot. Um, so I thought that was pretty interesting. She talked about Carly a lot. Um, then of course Carlos, being his messy, nosy self, he asked about how much he was getting paid. So I actually wrote this down. So when she first started, they were giving her $1,500 an episode. But because she was eating the girls up, they bumped it up during the first season. After a couple episodes, they bumped it up to $11,000 per episode. And then she ended um, season two. No, she started season two getting 15K an episode, and she ended season two getting 20K an episode. So they were paying her. Hopefully she wasn't lying, child, but I don't think she was. But they were paying Joseline really good. Can you imagine that? And back then, them episodes was like they were getting like anywhere from, if I'm correct, like anywhere from 12 to 15 episodes a season. So she was getting some money doing that, doing Love and Hip Hop. She was getting paid. She said when she left Love and Hip Hop, she was getting upwards of 50K an episode. 50K an episode. Joseline was making money. She was making money. I just couldn't believe that she said she got a pickup bonus, which could be anywhere from 250 to 300K. So from what I gathered from this interview is a pickup bonus is like an extra little on top of your fee per episode. It's like a little extra, like we want to make sure you're happy and we want to make sure you're coming in. So Joseline was making some serious bread filming that show, and all she was really doing was cussing everybody out, cussing Stevie out and beating Stevie up. Actually, now when I go back and think about it, that was one of my favorite episodes too, is when they were in a therapist office, and they were talking to the therapist, and they was asking Mimi something about, she was like, yeah, I live in a house. And Josh was like, you live in a house? And she was like, yeah. And she just took off and was wailing on Stevie, and Mimi just sat there. And she was like, get him, girl. Hit him for me, girl. She didn't even move. So I think that was a pretty good episode. But yeah, she was making a lot of money. A lot of money. Like, wow. So then, of course, Carlos, well, why did you leave? So she said she just wanted to do something different. She really wanted to focus on her music. She had the idea of the cabaret. She wanted to do the cabaret. She said she was just over it. She just didn't want to go back. Even though they were paying her all this money, she said she just wasn't into it no more. She wanted to leave. And that is something that I definitely can understand. Sometimes you get, even with just jobs, you get a job and you just decide like, this ain't for me no more. I could feel that because I worked at H&M for child, almost 15 years. And I just got to a point where I was like, this is no longer serving me. Yeah, I'm making really decent, I'm making good money. Don't sleep on working retail because you could make some good money. But I was like, man, I'm making good money. But it's just, I'm over it. So I can understand where she was coming from. Like, once it's ran its course, it's ran its course. It don't matter how much money you getting paid. Once it's over, it's over. So I understood that. So she said she just didn't want to go back. She wanted to do something else. And she said they were offering her everything. Lots of money for her to come back. But she said she had what's her baby name? Bonnie Bella, and she was just over it. She didn't want to do it no more. He asked her about her relationship with Mona. She said there's no relationship with Mona. I don't run into her. She didn't really go into deep about that. I was hoping he would ask her more, but she did not go into deep about that. And then of course Carlos did his what's his name? What's that boy's name? Jason Lee. He did his Jason Lee thing where he is bigging himself up, talking about, well, yeah, I helped you get the cabaret or whatever. So apparently, I did not know Lemmy, who runs Zeus, he's from Detroit, had no freaking idea. Um, Carlos introduced Joseline to Lemmy, and he paid her really good to come over and do her cabaret. And it's really been up for her ever since then with doing the cabaret. And she owns that. She owns that intellectual property, which I was like, wow. So then we kind of get into Joseline, the businesswoman. Hold on. So then Joseline, the businesswoman, that's where we kind of talk about business. So like I said, she owns the intellectual property for Joseline's Cabaret. She owns that. That is her show. She says she worked really hard to get this show. Um, I just feel like the show's not that serious for her to be acting like, because she kept saying, I wrote it. And like, girl, you got a camera crew. You're bringing girls on to go and dance with you in a strip club. How much writing did you do? But anyway, they just talked about, Joseline being a businesswoman. So I thought that was kind of interesting, hearing that like she would read her contracts. She knew how to broker her own deals. That's something that I was like, wow, I didn't think that she did all of that, but apparently she does. Then they talk about Rashida. She's saying Rashida's beyond Love and Hip Hop ATL. I think she is. I don't know why Rashida and Kirk are still on that show. Well, clearly they're on it for the money, but they don't need to be on that show. I would have left that show once I caught wind that my husband had a baby outside of our marriage, because you're not going to embarrass me to that degree. You've already embarrassed me with cheating on camera, with doing a blood test, a DNA test on our child. You've already done that. And then you want to go and have a baby? Once I would have heard that that was even something that they were thinking about capturing on film to put on TV, I wouldn't have been back on that show. So I didn't understand. I totally agree with Joseline on Rashida, like why she is even participating on the show. But whatever. We know it's for money. They clearly are paying her really well to do this. And then they talked briefly about K Michelle. She said, I hope K Michelle is is safe and sound, because she had cement in her butt and all this stuff. But that's really it. It was just more so like a brief introduction. They didn't really get into anything messy. I will say I did enjoy hearing about that Johnson's actually really smart, and she brokers her own contracts and deals and stuff. So that's something that was interesting to me. I never thought that she did anything like that. So, but that was pretty much it. It wasn't nothing like messy for real. So next week, part 2 comes out September 12th. So they're supposed to be getting into the comparison between her and Cardi B. Does she think she should have Cardi B's career? And I feel like that question has been asked. I think I'm going to say Wendy asked her that, but I don't know. So I'm interested to see how that goes next week. But it wasn't as messy as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting her to really be shady. The only person she really threw shade at was Carly. Talk about Carly box must not be good and she needs a rejuvenation. And yeah, that's about it. But she really didn't say too much messy stuff. But yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and thumbs it up. Subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I'm going to be pushing out content, pushing out videos, because I really want to get my YouTube to pop. So if you like this, go ahead and drop down the comments. Follow me on TikTok. I think my TikTok is just Kelly B on TikTok. I'll put a link in the bio. But yeah, I'm out of here. Peace.